So, as we were talking about, yeah, Norton, man, you should play with Derek. You should play Promethean or something with him. Bobo, Derek, if I ever get a wish in one of your games, my character is just going to start running away from that full speed. Nope, just going to leave this wish right here and let some other poor schmuck pick it up. So as we as we look in weeks past, we've looked at the mechanical similarities and differences of the party members. And it was brought up last week by Ivalon and I think a couple others. Well, we don't really look at their backgrounds or their features or especially their personality traits and such as we would consider a campaign. And I figured, you know what, this week, why don't we make our party comparison sheet more around those lines? A ring of wishes at that? Yep, just leave it be, Bobo. It's really a shame that modified memory can only affect 10 minutes worth of memory at a time. I thought it could be... Bobicus, I thought it could be cast up, couldn't it? And if nothing else, don't the Wizards of Thay practice circle magic to empower their spells? If that's the case, wouldn't just several of them make a circle magic version of that spell and then cast it at its ramped up stats? Norton says, I wish I knew what to wish for that wouldn't backfire on me. Modified memory can be cast at higher levels to affect older memories, but it can still only affect 10 minutes at a time. Hey, look, NPCs, it's magic. I don't have to explain anything. Oh, so you give them the idea of not, like, so they know what they know in the back of their brains from long before. You just mess out how it's getting squished out of the Play-Doh factory of their mouth or their current thoughts and expressions. Alright, so here we have a party of Chevrolet Hinton. This was our female half-elf. Lawful neutral, female half-elf paladin of the ancients with a background as a soldier or healer. Ideal, bond, and flaw. I'll make this larger to make it easier to read here. Okay, there we go. So let's compare our party based on our personalities and not just simply our abilities or our skills. Although skills is still a good way to do things, and we can get there, but let's try this alternative method and see how this will affect us as DMs as opposed to the way that we've been doing things before. Because the campaign I would like to help plan is based on an idea that came up on Tuesday, actually, our first day of broadcasting for the week. And Derek really hit, and I think the idea came up, and I think Derek had ended up like really hitting a home run with it. Derek says, yeah, they now think that their actual life is a lie and a conspiracy against them. Their mother isn't their mother, their neighbor isn't their neighbor, but they are in some sort of conspiracy of vile intent. Let the cookie brain crumble where it may. Babika says, well, the original plan was to have them forget that they killed a red wizard and trick them into believing they were working for Thay voluntarily, but that's about 2 hours of modified memory per character, and given that you can't get rid of modified memories with a 3rd level spell, it doesn't seem worth the effort. Remove Curse just cancels all false memories, even if you didn't know you had false memories. Wait. It says it cancels them, but you don't forget that you had those memories? So does it just remove your compulsion to act on those memories? So now we have Pastor Bronzeman. Lawful good. Male. Bronze, Dragonborn. Bard. Valor. Acolyte. Background feature. Shelter of the Faithful. His ideal, his bond, and his flaw. Welcome back, Raven. I would rule that you can still remember what the memory was modified to be, but you know which is real and which is false. The exact wording is, restores the creature's true memory. Well, if you get it and you know what you want it to do, Bobicus, that is... It's certainly, I think, a way that you can still try and fulfill what you're looking to do. Phaedra is a neutral, female, half-elf. Fighter champion. Who's a charlatan and forger. Her background feature is false identity. Her ideal was charity. Her bonds, a powerful person killed someone that she loves. And what a flaw. Whoops. Oh, it is. It's... Oh, gotcha. It's working a little too well, is what is happening here. It took in the paragraph break. Okay. So now we go to our first character we generated. Matish Morgara. I did not name that. Lawful neutral female. Black Dragonborn. Outlander Tribal Marauder. Gaius could also be removed with remove curse, which feels kind of silly. Well, I mean, the Gaius could still sting someone if part of the command is to not remove the Gaius. Wanderer, so he can find food and water. Alright, and then lastly, we have our character that we made last night, Lair Bronzebrone, aka Lord Honeydrums. Jenny Dutton, thank you very much for the follow. If I'm being a little too quiet, I'm sorry for that. And also, if you have any questions or you want to share stories from your own tabletop, Jenny, you know you're welcome to. I believe that you have before, because your name seems familiar. You've been with us before a couple times, haven't you, Jenny? I hear Bronze Brawn, a.k.a. Lord Honeydrums. Chaotic Neutral. Male Bronze Dragonborn, Bard Lore. Who is kind of a gold digger charlatan. Okay, yeah, that makes sense, Jenny. The names seem familiar. But thank you for coming back, Jenny, and thank you very much for the follow. What we're doing is we're comparing features of all of the party members together so that we can consider the characters and maybe generate some interesting story hooks for them, or to try and predict the party dynamic that will be playing out over the course of the campaign that we can talk about. As written, a Gaius to not remove a Gaius could not have any additional compulsions. You can compel someone's service, or you can compel some restraint, but not both. Okay. Again, in weeks past, we've used this method to compare the hard stats and other things, the saves, the skill proficiencies, and it was brought up, well, why don't we look at their personalities and compare them? And either add it to this information, or in this case, I want to just kind of carve it out and have it be its own thing on the side. $5d10's not a high enough price to pay other way. I mean, you could always customize the spell if you wanted to, Bobicus. Spells are just not a good option for long-term control or trickery. Ooh, pardon me. Maybe not, Bobicus. You can always make up your own spell or effect, or a magic item that's placed on them that somehow keeps their programming relevant. Something like that could work out. So with this, we can break things down into Here we go. As a DM, if you need some inspiration for your campaign, Look at your character's flaws. For you as a PC, your flaws should be a part of your character, and you should roleplay to them. Don't be afraid to be weak or show weakness at a D&D table. It's perfectly fine. These are all roleplay opportunities, and therefore, speaking of which, if you are a DM, take a look at these. What kind of content can you put in front of your players to help them, to encourage them to come to a crossroads, or to make a choice, or to incentivize some kind of behavior? It's not just limited to flaws, though. Take a look at... this is going to be a much easier way of doing this. There we go. We have grabbed all of the ideals, and now we'll do the same thing down here. Maybe we can reduce these all just a wee little bit here. I guess that can work pretty well. Alright, so we've gotten the party together, and now we're looking at who they are. What kind of a journey can we bring these people on that will challenge them and help them grow, help them become better people, more skilled, more talented, or even just realizing that adversity exists in the world? Because, I mean, look, as Bobicus is noodling over, consequences exist for actions. And what happens, particularly when something happens? So if we look, here's our list of our flaws. I can't resist swindling people who are more powerful than me. I am slow to trust members of other races, tribes, and societies. I hate to admit it, and I'll hate myself for it, but I run and preserve my own hide if the going gets tough. I am inflexible in my thinking, and I fleece the wrong person and must work to ensure that this individual never crosses paths with me or those I care about. Maybe because this person, maybe this person is a murderer. Well, actually, I'm sorry, that's a bond. But if you want to look for similarities, you can highlight here. Look, if I'm outnumbered, and I hate to admit it, so here we go. Color code it. We have two people who will run if things are going tough. These two are also similar. I'm slow to trust members of other races, tribes, and societies, and I am inflexible in my thinking. That then just leads... I can't resist swindling people who are more powerful than me. Here's an interesting bond. I fleece the wrong person, and I must work to ensure that this individual, etc., and so forth. A powerful person killed someone I loved. Someday soon I'll have my revenge. You can make a link here. Nothing saying that you can't have this be a link. And this same person, if you want, can even be maybe a member of the clergy. Depending on if you want some rivalry, what if these characters, my family, clan, or tribe is the most important thing in my life, and I'll never forget the crushing defeat that my company suffered, or the enemies who dealt it? What if this was caused by this up here? Or what if these two were fighting together, and in a clutch moment, this character could have stepped up and saved this other one's party members, but chose not to for the sake of the clan? So you could arguably even connect these two together if you wanted to. And the ideals. Greater good, it's each person's responsibility to make the most happiness for the whole tribe. Charity, I distribute the money I acquire to people who really need it. Another charity. Power, I hope to one day rise to the top of my faith's religious hierarchy. And live and let live, ideals aren't worth killing over. So in that case, these ones here all are similarly focused. You know, here's our raw power, and then ideals aren't worth killing or going to war for, which this other ideal would go against intrinsically, and the other ones just don't seem to mesh up. So it does seem to be its own thing. Now, as a DM, you can look at this sheet and say, okay, I see the characters I'm working with. I think I can gen up some NPCs. Now, Derek gens up NPCs first. And you can do it Derek's way. You can totally just make a village and then spend whatever amount of time and you generate the 20 major personalities in the village. And you build around them. That's fine. If you prefer, you can then do it on the back end and generate NPCs in response to how your PCs are lining up. Oh, pardon me. Hi, Fluffy Sheep. Hello. Welcome back. You speak a one-word command, not a monologue. Oh, D-Floof is here lurking. We have an orc amongst us, everyone. Although it's a friendly orc, as long as you don't upset it. Kind of like Norton the Gnoll. Norton is a really cool gnoll, but if you mess with Norton, he will bare his fangs. D-Floof, aka Orc. Cool dude. But he has scars for a reason, and if you bust his chops, he'll bust yours back. Oh, so Derek, are you arguing that, yes, there's the one word, but that the mind will try and backfill the reason for the compulsed action? Hey, Calamity. Oh, more cute emotes. Yeah, I see what you're getting at, Derek. So you had the build-up. So you used your, any free speech you had in your round, but the spell's verbal component was as such. One word. but you had build up and you provided context for it. I get what you're saying, Derek, and I also see the point that Fluffy Sheep is also is pointing to, like, but it says this. And I think the idea can very much blend together very well. Oh, that's not what you're saying. Oh. Well, no, I mean, I went back up and reread there. So you're setting the stage up, giving the command, and going from there, instead of what I thought at first, because I didn't see what you wrote up above, which was give the command, it'll happen, and then the mind is going to be like, whoa, why did that happen? Now I have to backfill and create content. Yeah, you got to keep the emotes fresh, Calamity. We are going about making a character comparison sheet in a slightly different way than we've done before, Calamity. In past weeks, as we compared party members, we did so more on a mechanical basis. Scores, proficiencies, in saves, and also in proficiencies and skills. We laid out the languages that they could speak and so on. And so to try something different, I figured we could take a similar concept, but let's take... Here are the personalities. If we were to reduce down our characters outside of their mechanics, who are they? How are they going to operate or act in a situation? And ultimately here, as you can see, we took all the flaws, bonds, and ideals and we squished them together, and then we color-coded them so we can see where the majority of the party might go in a direction to make a decision, or it's something that you could challenge the party along because maybe only one person would pursue something. Example, an ideal for power. I hope to one day rise to the top of my faith's religious hierarchy. That is definitely in opposition here to, the ideals aren't worth killing over or going to war for. Or there's just this general, we're not worried about the structure, we just want to do right by other people. And so this is allowing us to kind of give a little bit of a psychological breakdown of the party as party members, but we can also put our DM hats on and say, oh, okay, I understand. So our party here is going to probably make decisions here. They have some weaknesses over here, and I think if I really want to incentivize them to take a course of action, I could dangle this flavor of carrot in front of them. Hopefully I was able to explain that well for you, Calamity. Please select one of the following bonds, ionic or covalent. Beep, boop, beep, boop, beep, boop. Well, because I might rule that the command word has a different feel to it and that everyone could detect the spell, but that's just part of the feel of how magic works in your world. Derek says, what I'm saying is that there's nothing stopping you from hiding a command in a sentence. What I was explaining to Bobicus is using the framework manipulation in conjunction with simple reframing to make those small short spells into long-term manipulations. Okay, I think I understand. I think I understand better, Derek. And, in this call, depending on the interpretation of the spell, yes, you, Derek, are using one word, and you're using the one word within, the free speech you're allowed in a round. And Fluffy Sheep is definitely saying, well, it's just one word. You look at them and you just say one word. 6 to 1, half dozen of the other, it would come down to your DM. Could you do either? I could entertain that going both ways. Yeah, Bobicus is like, guys, literally the DM here. Well then, you know what, Bobicus? You have options then. And I'm glad I was able to explain that to you, Calamity. So we have a party then, you can see that they do have these lofty ideals. They do have these social ideals. we could maybe even color this ideal the same pink instead of purple. The only one who really has an opposing ideal for what they want to see happen in the world would be the one who's seeking power. If we come up here to the bond, we have a villain, right? I fleeced the wrong person and must work to ensure this individual never crosses paths. Why is that? A powerful man killed someone I loved. Someday soon I'll have my revenge. Also, I will someday get revenge on the corrupt temple hierarchy who branded me a heretic. So there's probably a rotten apple in the, in the temple here, and this person is wielding that influence for ill effect. And even still in the bond here, I'll never forget the crushing defeat my company suffered, and that could have either been at the hands of or because of this bond up here about this person's family, clan, or tribe is the most important thing. The air bud approach. Nothing says a flump can't play basketball. Now that's an amusing thing to imagine. Derek, anyway, does that explain what I mean about using short-term control? And so, yes, if you ever are stuck for ideas, Calamity, as a DM, this is a good way. Look to your characters. Ask your players for their character sheets and do these kind of comparisons. Look at their flaws. Yes, they are probably using them individually. I'd hope so anyway, else why do you have them? Or you can combine them on your sheet and say, look, okay, so here's where we're seeing redundancies. Here's where we're seeing something that the majority of the party might go for. Flumpfall, TM. Calamity, oddly enough, I was finding and ironing out the personality of my character at this time. Hey, well, Calamity, if you want to share your character's personality, we can go over it here and help you do just that to iron it out. Okay, so Bobicus, if those are the parameters, if you're setting those as the parameters, we can probably find a solution by working inside of them. So here we've generated a villain. We've generated a villain via our player characters, and this would be a compelling villain at that. In fact, the same villain could have even been the one who the gray ones don't know, but the villain could have even been the one who orchestrated the bond that these two share. The majority of the party wants to leave the world a better place, especially for the downtrodden. Just in their own way, right? We have chaotic neutral people and whatever. But we do have people who will run away in a fight, which, as a DM, we should consider that if we're going to throw combats, right? You don't have to always win a combat or, be able to beat everything into a bloody submission. It's not every combat doesn't have to be a battle of attrition. I'm slow to trust, I'm inflexible in my thinking, and I can't resist swindling people who are more powerful than me. Then you know what? This person might, as a flaw, might be the hook in to draw the ire of this very evil patron person in the world. So just looking at this colored sheet, campaign personalities and NPCs should be springing out and jumping at you. Oh, no. Okay, so here's our bad guy, and then he has this other person, and we're getting a good idea. It's the looting of plunders. Hey, Mr. Plunder Loot, how are you? Yeah, the principle of using mind control spell to create a blackmail opportunity is solid in general. Diplomacy. Hey, Tracy, good to see you. So, Plunderluta, as you're in here, we're looking at an alternative way that you could do a player comparison for a party analysis. And, you like that? Oh, is there another Halloween movie coming out? Or is this for, is this something like an E3 related thing, Plunderloot? In a way, yeah, it's kind of a different SWOT analysis than we've done before, Plunderloot. If you remember from last week, right, we had our traditional way that we've been doing it by comparing numbers, and you know, and so the number of people in every skill and different roles. And if you remember, Ivalon and I think someone else were talking about how they also look at things like the background features, and they look at especially the ideals, the bonds, and the flaws. So what we did was we took that information. We took no numerical information from our party this week, and instead we distilled it into their different background portions, features, whatever. And so here we have now, we've made a compelling villain out of bonds, and we have a general way that the party is going to act. So we have carrots that we can put in front of them. We have a very compelling villain born from our own PCs. And for flaws, we have ways to be able to maybe motivate or nudge the story going in a particular direction through either like a smack on the butt or a dangling carrot in front of someone. You know, and then you take into consideration we have two false identities. We have someone who can, as they wander, they can supply food and drink and other guidance. We have someone who can shelter the group if they behave in his own temple. And how that all mixes in what's going here, because if we look, our villain is actually going to be a clergyman of some kind. And all of this was generated through our own PCs. Unlike having an alchemist or a researcher, they are likely to be more inquisitive, but I will say that World of Darkness games are more in-depth from personal experience. Genly AI, hey, it's good to see you doing again. Oh, you're lurking while you work? Shh, don't let us get you in trouble. Anyway, Genly, it's good to see you again. We're having a very good discussion on mind magic, Genly, and we're also going through an alternative way to be able to analyze your party and keep it personal and not just numerical like we have been doing before. Yeah, Plunder Loot, and you know what? Background features I think are often forgotten by the players and the DM alike. So if you do a party analysis this way, it's going to put in front of you, you have two false identities. Lair Bronzebrone, a.k.a. Lord Honeydrums. Lord Honeydrums is effectively another party member. It's an alter ego of Lair Bronzebrone. The ability for Pastor Bronzeman to find shelter of the faithful is very important, because this is going to feed and guide the party in an urban environment where Matish's Wanderer won't. Oh, you're working at home? Okay. Sweetie, could you come here for a minute? Of course, Honeydrums. I'll be right there. Mr. Plunderloot, and I'm all about having the feels and some bleed and, and this shovel. I thought Leo, it probably is because he is a liar. And I think that was the joke that Bubonic One was going for. Lair, though, is probably how... I am Lair. That sounds way more exotic than I am liar. Make to liar. Okay, well, you know what? We have, we brought the party together, and we did so without even worrying about numbers. Because the numbers help the party accomplish their goals, it doesn't get to the core of who your party is. Maik Talir. Now, while I did this, by the way, for the Bond flaw and ideal, you can still go through and compare. I have a crude sense of humor. I face problems head on. I have a joke for every occasion. I fall in and out of love easily. You know, these two might get along on the lines of, so here we have, like, I have a crude sense of humor. And so let's color this person, Cyan 3. This person's probably going to get along with this person along the same lines. I have no stock in wealthy or well-mannered folk, so this person, for the crude jokes, is probably also going to get along. I'm tolerant of other faiths. I can find common ground between the fiercest enemies. Maybe the pastor could also get in, though he doesn't necessarily seem jovial. And then liar here. Flattery is my preferred trick, and I lie about almost everything, even when there's no good reason to do so. Now we have I face problems head on. A simple, direct solution is the best path to success. If we come down here to, let's say pink 3. A simple, direct solution. I can find common ground between people. So that these characters are probably going to bond over here. A simple, direct solution is to just lie if you have to. These characters can share a bond. You might even be able to argue I once ran a marathon to warn my people. That's a solution. What else? What other option? I'm going to do it. I'm going to take the simple solution of just run and warn people of what's going to happen. Now this leaves I fall in and out of love easily. So we come over here. Whoops, not that. Let's go with magenta 4. So I fall in and out of love easily, and flattery is my preferred trick for getting what I want. And that just leaves... I'm tolerant of other faiths and respect the worship of other gods. I don't know if that's necessarily fitting the direct solution, or that's something along... if you want to say maybe that's a bond between I fall in and out of love easily. So, you know, oh, I can always try and understand people. Yes, let's form relationships. If that's the case, then we can imagine these are the bonds between our characters. So Phaedra and Pastor Bronzeman are probably going to get along on these lines. Chevrolet, Phaedra, Matesh, and Matash are going to get along with these parts of their personalities. Chevrolet, Bronzeman, and Morgara here, and also Lair are going to have this kind of common bond. That, well, I'm sorry, if I said Phaedra, then not Phaedra. But these four are going to get along these lines. And now we've worked it out amongst each other as either PCs or as DMs. How are our characters going to get along? This is presuming that we don't know each other and have other bonds that maybe the DM would prompt, or we would just come up with as PCs ourselves, as we have what's known as a Session 0. If you don't know what a Session 0 is, it's just that. It's not necessarily going through a full adventure, but it's character creation, it's bonding your characters, it's establishing the world and your place in it, at least your starting place in the world. But now with a simple, open office, and we use a highlighter tool, we've taken each of the characters and we've bonded them together along some general lines of thinking. And if you really even want to, look, Dragonborn, Dragonborn, Dragonborn. We could do it along race. We could do it along gender if you want. We have 2 charlatans also. And then if any of you just popped in, not only have we bonded the party as we're making this party comparison sheet, but we have generated the villain of the campaign out of the bonds that our party shares. And we know a very good way to be able to compel the party to take certain actions through the ideals, and even incentivize them, or even especially incentivize, but maybe even, I don't want to say punish, but coerce them into a particular course of action, or give them a very weighty option. Because I don't want to use like force of coercion. Carrots are okay. You can dangle carrots. And you could even use your riding crop and give your players a little bit of a thwap with consent. This is an alternative way to look at your party as opposed to doing the mechanics, right? Here's your ability scores. Here's your proficiencies and saves. Here's the spread of the party skill proficiencies. Who has what covered? Do we have any places that are not covered? This could very easily be added at the end of this report here. And there's other things you can compare: languages available in the party, tools, roles, and whatnot. You want a sorcerer called Magic Mike? Oh, Maik is in Elder Scrolls? I have not played any Elder Scrolls, Plunder. I'm sorry. Does this kind of a system that we just went over for all of you out here, does this make sense? Do you feel that this is a compelling way that you can create campaign content as a DM? Or as a PC to understand your character and as compared to your other characters, to give you roleplay prompts and other things that you can bond over, or otherwise find similarities? Echo the Winds, thank you very much for your follow. Thank you for being here, and for lurking, or if you want to talk, you certainly may. You can share your experience or your inexperience. Are you new to role-playing, D&D, or anything else? You're among a good crowd. Pull up a chair. You're sitting at a table in a game store with friends. We're hanging out, and we're talking role-playing. We're critically thinking. We're thinking alternatively, and we're approaching problems with solutions, or we're approaching solutions with problems. You prefer to lurk? No problem, Echo. You can lurk as much as you like. Thank you for coming in and doing so as you wish to interact. At any point during the broadcast, even if I'm on a soapbox talking about this stuff, if you have a question or you want to share your own experience from a tabletop or from life or anything else, you can certainly do so. You are free to step up and speak. Because I do want this to be a conversation. I want this to be a community, not just a lecture, or not just a, hey, look at me and all of you are along for my ride on my channel with my content kind of a thing. I'll tell you what though, Echo, settle in, or if you want a little bit of a break from lurking, I'm going to get up. I'm going to make myself a pitcher of ice water. I'm going to get a snack, and we'll come back and discuss an interesting way to run a campaign that was discussed on Tuesday when we began our broadcast week. So hang in there, everyone. I'm going to be gone for about 10 minutes or so. Get up, use the bathroom, pet your cats, get some refreshments, stretch, change, do whatever you got to do. And we'll meet back here in 10 minutes, close to... it's almost... it's 1:47 a.m. my time. So, I mean, it'll be around 2 a.m. I'll come back a couple minutes sooner than that, though. Yeah, oh, do we have cookies? Oh, that's great. Yes, pass around the cookies, everyone. Pass them around, pass them around. I'll be back shortly.